The Soviet Union's attack against Finland began on June 22, 1941 at 6:05 in the morning, when the Soviet Union initiated artillery bombardment from the Hanko base against Finnish targets in the archipelago and on the mainland, as well as airstrikes against Finnish ships at sea. In 1941, two men, my great-grandfathers, at the age of 16 and 19, joined the Finnish army during the Continuation War. They served their country until 1944, facing the harsh realities of the conflict. Both men survived the war, returning to civilian life with stories untold. They lived their post-war years in Finland, each carrying their own silent history. Before I was born, they passed away, leaving behind a legacy of resilience. I grew up knowing them only through family stories and old photographs. Their experiences during the war remained a mystery to me. As I learned about the war in the history books, I wondered about their personal journeys. Now I honor their memory by acknowledging their part in Finland's history. Their stories, though never heard by me, are an integral part of my heritage. The service of my great-grandfathers in the Continuation War stands as the foundation of inspiration for my Winter War-themed diorama. Their stories of resilience and fortitude in the face of adversity breathe life into miniature scenes I've crafted, honoring their legacy and Finland's history. I included a salmon, not a real one of course, in my diorama to bring an element of underwater life to it. The salmon may also represent unknown symbolic meanings that could emerge later. But either way, the execution of this idea was doomed, as seen later on this video. Let's be clear, the making of this fake salmon was quite fun and I was satisfied how it turned out. I even made a small back fin to it. Now of course, this is not a simulation of real one, just cheap copy, only with one fin on it. In the beginning of the video, I told a bit of history, how war started and how young age my great-grandfathers joined the service. So therefore I want to explain and say that in the beginning of the video, where you see me using plaster to make a leg's bottom, there is no any special reason why I used plaster. I just have that stuff quite a lot and I wanted to use it before it goes, old. Toothpick idea was to anchor the heavy plaster plate to styrofoam. So afterwards, in a wiser way, it would have been better to put the toothpicks diagonally instead of straight on, because I noticed that the toothpicks didn't quite properly hold the dried plasterboard in place. After sanding of the base, I started preparation for the resin pouring. For the first time I used industrial acrylic, it's clear when it went right in this case, sealant to glue polycarbonate sheets to base. Now regardless of what is shown in the video, I think you should brush the entire side with acrylic compound, because it doesn't glue like hot glue, etc. So the polycarbonates are very easy to remove. Finally, I put the clamps on all four sides and left the base overnight to dry. After that, I finished the vertical seams with hot glue. Painting the base at this stage was frankly a mistake. The problem here is that the paint gets on the polycarbonate sheets from where it comes off and gets absorbed into resin. It is very difficult to remove it from there, and in my case it was close to ruining the whole diorama. Well, fortunately that didn't happen. Since I have experience with leaking resin castings, this time I decided to make the casting with a small amount where I can see possible leak points. I can say that there really weren't any this time. Of course, the vertical seams weren't checked, but I decided to take a risk. So, as you can see, the fish has started to float, and the reason for this is simply that resin, when it's doing hardening process, produces a heat. So in this case, a heat plus other chemical reaction loosened fish from extremely weak metal stick holder and causing it what you can see. For the final touch, I mixed blue and black colors to resin so that it represents better a deep and dark waters like in the Finland we have. When everything was cured another 24 hours, it was time to remove polycarbonate sheets, and I was happy that there were no leaks at all. Resin, when it dries, tends to rise up on the polycarbonate sheets because of capillary phenomenon, and makes upward edges which I usually carve out with knife. It just makes a bit more finished look in my opinion. At this point it was good idea paint the base, because I don't want black stains to my snow. For this I used basic acrylic paint. Under the masking tape reveals quite matte resin surface, and I had to sand it quite a lot because the black paint, which I explained earlier, was sucked into resin. And because I didn't have any polishing compound, I decided to go with alternative route. Now this is the trick which is almost same what MacGyver did with oil for haze glass. But instead of oil I used semi-gloss varnish, which refracts a ray of light and makes it more visible, clear in this case. Of course resin surface does not come as shiny when polished, but I was okay with that. I used Finnish Rifleman figure set from ICM, a very detailed set which includes 3 riflemen or scout team and 1 reindeer, and yes, a reindeer was a thing at the time. After a longish paint this process, I used Loctite gel like super glue, which happens to be a good solution for resin. It holds quite nicely and dries fast. And the idea in here was that they were on their patrol route and stumbled upon single Soviet aerosan snowmobile vehicle. Next up I started to make snow environment, and for that I mixed baking powder, bicarbonate and titanium white acrylic paint and then dabbed it to the ice, which is resin in this case. Now I made the whole snow surface in one go and tried to keep it moist. Lastly, before applying snow effect I brushed it pure water to smooth and moist the surface. Now this AK interactive snow effect is quite neat stuff, as it makes snow probably as realistic as you could achieve in my opinion. I used a spoon to spread snow effect powder, and I used a lot of it. Then I leave it to dry overnight and simply blowed the extra powder away. After I was made snow work, I prepared PVA glue and water mix to AK interactive ice particles effect. Gotta say, this is pretty neat stuff too. Finally I poured ice particles to the glue and water mix. Here's the power tip for spreading the ice mixture. Make glue water mixture quite thin. It really helps ice particles spread more evenly. And truth to be told, I repeated this process once after I was satisfied with the result. I really thank you for watching and listening, and I also hope that you learned something new and helpful from this video. Please hit the like if you liked and subscribe for more. Peace out.